Hey everybody, Swayze here, and in today's video, we're in a place that may not be super familiar to some of you newer subscribers, but we're in the Dodge Challenger Hellcat. Yes, the Dodge Challenger Hellcat is back on the channel after a pretty big hiatus. It's been a while since I've uploaded a video of this car, and in today's video, we're going to discuss 3 reasons exactly why I haven't driven this vehicle as often as some of my other vehicles and why I've kind of avoided it. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, since it's also a beautiful day here in Utah, I figured I would go up a beautiful canyon cruise and take you along while I discuss the 3 reasons why I've stopped driving the Dodge Challenger Hellcat. So as we do that, let's do a quick pull here. Okay, so that's always fun to do in this vehicle. So in no particular order, the first reason the Dodge Challenger Hellcat has not been featured on the channel that much, or I haven't been driving it as much, is because I am worried about theft. Now, if you are a Dodge aficionado, I'm sure you're no stranger to the fact that the Dodge Challenger and Charger are one of the most stolen vehicles ever. They are just consistently ending up on the most stolen list. I think in this last year, they were in the top 10. And I think if I'm not mistaken, they're about 5 times more likely to get stolen than just your average vehicle. Now, I'm not gonna lie and say that that doesn't worry me when I consider driving this vehicle into certain areas here in Utah. Now, you may be saying, well, Utah is not Compton, and you're 100% correct. It is not. It's a pretty safe state to live in. But as the city has grown, crime rates do increase, and hearing these stats always kind of sit in the back of my mind when I consider which vehicle I'm going to drive to whatever destination I'm going to. And I'm not gonna lie and say oftentimes I have considered, you know, I'm going downtown Salt Lake, it might be in an area where I'm far away from the car in some sort of parking garage. Maybe it's best to either drive the Ford Bronco or maybe just take my wife's car instead. Now, this is a more recent fear that's developed in probably the last year or so. If you guys are familiar with my channel, you'll know that I used to own a 2017 Dodge Challenger Scat Pack, and I gotta say, I never really had that same fear with the Scat Pack as I do with the Hellcat. And I think part of that is because maybe I was oblivious to the concerns or the risks of theft for that vehicle, or maybe it just wasn't as known in the media that that car was very easy to steal. And so, you know, ignorance is bliss. Therefore, I didn't really worry about driving the car. Now, I know that Dodge is trying to introduce some safety enhancements, but I really don't think they're good enough. The first one was really back in early 2021, where they said they would allow you to do a software update where you can input a PIN code into your vehicle to actually unlock all of the horsepower. Otherwise, you'd be limited to like 3 miles per hour or something like that. So if somebody did happen to break into your car and start driving without having that PIN code, they really wouldn't be able to get very far. Now, personally, I thought that was a pretty good idea, something that would limit perhaps some of the concerns or the fears that I had with this vehicle getting stolen. Well, to my knowledge and to anybody else I've spoken to in the Mopar community, that software update never happened. I've even called Dodge dealerships and I've asked them about it, and nobody knows what I'm talking about, at least at the dealerships. They said that they don't have any updated software that will allow me to lock my car at 3 miles per hour. That's just not existent. And I think it's kind of just faded off into the dust, and nobody at Dodge really talks about it anymore. But then at the end of 2021, beginning of 2022, I did receive a letter from Dodge saying that they will offer another security enhancement, which essentially locks the module that actually senses the signals from your key fob. and therefore making it a little bit more difficult for somebody to break into your car, because the way I understand it is criminals are able to enter your vehicle by tapping into that same frequency as your key fob. So by locking it in place, they can't track that frequency. And again, this is not super technical. I'm just explaining my understanding of how locking the module would work, and that should help prevent some of the thefts associated with the Challenger. The one caveat to that is the fact that by doing so, they actually lock your module, so if you do happen to lose your keys, you're pretty much SOL and you're going to have to purchase a new module. And that module can cost, from my understanding, anywhere from $300 to $500, plus you have to purchase additional keys. And so it becomes a very expensive headache if you do happen to go through with this locking of the module and then you subsequently lose your keys. My thought is Dodge should just do a better job in making these vehicles a little bit less easy to steal, since this isn't actually just a Dodge Challenger issue. Ram faces the same issue, and so do Jeep Grand Cherokee. So I think FCA, or Stellantis now, is just doing a bad job with the security features of its products. Now, security aside, the second reason why I've stopped driving this vehicle has to do with, along the same lines, the fear of damaging my car. And I'm not talking about just damage from somebody else hitting my vehicle. I'm also worrying about me damaging my own vehicle. Now, I'm not gonna say I'm an excellent driver, but I'm a pretty good driver, and I've had this Challenger platform for quite a few years now, so I am familiar with its proportions, but I still have this concern that I am, for some reason, either going to hit a curb or pull into a parking lot and scrape something, or even worse than that, pull into a tight parking spot and somebody opens the door and damages my paint or my fenders, or just overall, I am consistently worried about something happening to this vehicle. And I think a part of that reason is the fact that this vehicle, brand new, was almost $80,000. That is a very hard pill to swallow. You know, I had a Dodge Challenger Scat Pack, but that vehicle, when I purchased it used, was $35,000. And so even though I still took great care of that vehicle and was consistently worried of somebody damaging it, I wasn't as worried as I am with my $80,000 Hellcat. And I always worry that I'm going to park it somewhere and something's going to happen to it. Now, is it irrational? Yes, it definitely is. But at the same time, it stops me or makes me think twice before I drive this to just any regular McDonald's or any regular place. I really have to consider, where am I driving this vehicle today, and am I gonna be stopping into any places with tight parking spots, or maybe having to park it on the street where somebody can walk by and key it? Those are all things that I'm considering when driving my Hellcat. Now, the third reason why I've stopped driving this vehicle really has to do with the fact that I have thoroughly enjoyed my 2021 Ford Bronco. Now, if you guys haven't seen on the channel, that is my daily driver. I purchased it July of last year, and I'm gonna say, hands down, it is one of my favorite vehicles that I've ever owned. What I like about it is just how versatile the vehicle is, because you can drive with the roof open, you can fold the roof entirely back and remove it, you can take the doors off, and it's also a beast in the snow and off-road. And so no matter what conditions I'm in, whether it's the heat of the summer and I can open up the roof and enjoy it like a convertible, or I'm in the winter time and I'm stuck not driving this vehicle because I can't drive this vehicle in the winter, that's also the reason why I've been driving my Bronco more. Now, that doesn't mean I don't enjoy the Dodge Challenger. It's a fantastic vehicle and it's really fun, but just like anybody who gets a new toy that they haven't experienced before, they're likely gonna play around with that new toy a little bit more than maybe some of their older toys. And this isn't really another reason, but kind of bouncing off of the third reason, is weather. The weather here in Utah has been atrocious for the last probably 6 months. You know, there was like 1 week in March that was really nice weather, and I actually drove the Bronco because I took the roof off. But other than that, this is probably one of the first weekends where I can actually enjoy driving this car. And also, another thing I've had to consider before leaving my house is, well, is the weather gonna be cooperative, or am I gonna be driving through rain or snow today? Now, another reason aside from weather, and again, this isn't really the reason why I haven't driven it, but it is something I've considered, that has to do with gas prices. Now, it's not a huge consideration on my end, just because the Hellcat surprisingly gets pretty decent gas mileage. It's not fantastic, like right now I'm averaging 15.4 miles per gallon, but my Bronco does 20 miles per gallon, or 21, maybe at best case 22. So we're talking 5 to 7 miles per gallon better in the Bronco. So it's not really the reason I've stopped driving this vehicle, but it's something I've had to consider. Do I really want to take this vehicle on a longer trip just because it's going to cost a little bit more for me to fill up this tank with 91 octane as compared to the Bronco? So there you have it, folks. Those are 3 plus kind of 2 additional reasons why I've stopped driving this vehicle as often as I did in the past. Some of the reasons are actually because of the fact that this is a Hellcat, and I didn't have those same concerns or that apprehension with the Scat Pack because it just was a cheaper vehicle. And having this really big price tag over my head, even though obviously we all have insurance, it's still a subconscious kind of thing that's in the back of my mind, consistently worrying about something happening to this car. And I'm curious to hear if any of you out there who own a Hellcat relate to this, especially if you come from a Scat Pack or maybe an RT. You know, do you enjoy driving this vehicle as much, or do you drive it as much as you did in the Scat Pack or RT? Or does the price point and some of the other concerns, maybe even gas prices, kind of stop you from driving this vehicle as often? I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. And if this is your first time stopping by on the channel, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for all of the weekly videos. I do tons of different content, from car reviews to vlogs like this where we just chat back and forth, to some modifications and how-tos. Also find me on all of the social media down in the description below. And as always, everybody, I hope you stay schwazy, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day.